by Marie-Christine Lasnik, that most of you
They
know.
have been published in JCPA.
Okay. And then he said that something like that. After having missed some sessions, an analyst, Marie-Christine Lasnik, gets a phone call from Lacan, whose tone of voice is quite similar to that of an adult addressing a little child. And with this sweet tone of voice, he says, "When should I see you again, my little girl?" Something like that. "Quand est-ce que je peux vous voir de nouveau, mon chou, ma petite?" She was a little bit astonished listening. Can you imagine hearing Lacan with this voice, asking her to come after having missed some session of analysis? Well, firstly, his attitude horrified her, but then she laughed at it, and it reminded her of her mother's request, which used to convey some sort of guilt in them, as she was a poor, penniless widow who entirely depended on the daughters. The mother played a little bit this role to her. And with this performing act, Lacan pointed out, and she, after that she had an insight of this, that she was completely manipulated by her mother, with this. This is an example that Lacan performing act, giving voice not exactly to the mother, but in the place of the object a voice, the voice. As you know, the look, the gaze, and the voice are the types of object A that is not represented in the signifier chain. Is the most of, as for instance, the oral object or the anal object. They are more symbolic, and they are in the demanding chain of signifiers. So we can think that the look and the voice is what is the object that the analyst is going to make semblant of. Well, I think this is a good example of the semblant. And so he says, Lacan says, so do as I do, but not imitate me. As François Regnault points out, the analyst's performance of the semblant must make it clear that the semblant is not him. And François Regnault it was one of Lacan's pupils that he was very interested in theater and psychoanalysis, and he was a teacher in this in Vincennes, at Vincennes. And he I call this distancing the operations through which the actor clearly shows the distance that exists between him as a human being and the character he must play. In other words, the analyst presents himself as if he was someone else, as we've been talking about. Well, let's talk about, to finish with this, about this distancing. Well, it was my mom's voice, as the analyst said, referring to Lacan's voice on the telephone. Can you possibly imagine you receiving a telephone call of your analyst with the voice of your mother? So the voice is so incredible. So that's uncanny. It's strange. It's not obvious. And this is something that makes the uncanny comes out. I think is a good example to think about this affect, because in this word, what we have, fair in German, that means process, Fremdung. Fremdung is the foreigner, is the foreigner quality, a estrangeridade. How do you say? The strange, but the noun is strange, not the adjective. The strange, the uncanny. So this is to make some. This process is how to make something that is completely natural and normal to be strange, to have a kind of a surprise effect, you know.
What is familiar?
What is not familiar? Defamiliarization. Defamiliarization. Okay. So we make something that is familiar, not familiar. To make it to be strange and uncanny, and you know, to pay attention to it. You know, normally this is a glass, but I can make this glass an object completely different from what it is, and that's going to be uncanny. You know. Well, this Fremdung addresses us back to ourselves, to what Freud calls in the project the fremde object, which is the first object with the child make acquaintance. A fremde object, which means a strange object. According to Freud, in the process, this foreign object is regarded as das Ding, the thing, which belongs to the complex of the neighbor. As we know, Lacan raised this thing, das Ding, to dignify rank of a concept. And it was this concept that gave birth to the theory concerning the object A. The object A comes in this place of what it is strange, uncanny, that can produce some anguish or desire. But this is something that is not normal. You know, it's not obvious. So this concept originated the effect of strangeness or uncanny that the analyst should cause with his act and desire while he is in the charge of direction of one's analysis. And by doing so, the analyst brings out the analysis surplus sense. The analyst must extract this foreign, uncanny object from the analyst's ordinary speech, because the neurotic doesn't want to know about anything. He doesn't want to know. You will know that. He doesn't know anything. So you must point it out to him. Even if he or she says, I want to know, we know that it's not true. Because he has, he avoids the desire, he avoids the conflict. This is why he is neurotic. Otherwise, he would not be a neurotic. The definition of the neurotic refoulement, repression for Lacan, is the statement of the repression, okay? Of repression is, I don't want to know anything about that. This is the statement of repression for Lacan. So he is going to make obviously everything. Everything is obvious, so because he doesn't want to know about anything. And the analyst must make something familiar, defamiliar. That's it. So, because there is where the jouissance is. According to Brecht, the actor, and I say the analyst, should offer the analysis a sort of interpretation in which the object can be recognized, but which also presented as an unusual thing, as something strange. So the estrangement effect has to do with the concept of mise-en-scène, of putting on stage, of the analytic act, putting on stage something different, something that normally you don't know. Aristotle, I remind he says that you can see a corpse of you in the street and you don't notice. And if you're going to see someone killed on the stage, you cry and you are completely moved because there is something put there that you can't deny. So it's the same thing. Well, the mise-en-scène of the analytic act is in mise en étrange, I would say, in putting on strange, put on uncanny manner. Put on stage, the analytic act is putting something to be uncanny. This has to do with the presentation of the semblant as a sort of disguise which enables the analyst to express his surplus traits. So, when it comes to making semblant with the analytic act, art, has a lot to teach us. Drama teaches us through the art of making believe, and poetry through the managing of misunderstanding and the realization of jokes of la langue. What does it mean to make another manner of taking this question? The semblant of object A. The object A is not a particular character. The object A, in Lacan terms, is a place to be occupied. The object A has no substance. It's a place. Remember what Freud says about the object of the drive. The object of the drive is completely lost. We have only ersatz. We have only substitutions. And you have, each one of us has a series of substitutions that cause us desire, that can satisfy our drives. The analyst must be one of them, must be in that place. So remember that the object is a place. It's not has the jouissance. So the same thing as words. Lacan says, I can make a word say anything I wish. And I'm not going to develop this, but just to make a point, all of Lacan's, or for the next time about interpretation, all Lacan development of interpretations theory is to go against the interpretation as an hermeneutic of giving sense. And the analyst must, Lacan gives two examples of what he says that must be the half same concerning interpretation. Le mi-dire. The interpretation must not be some, you are like that. You must be, I think, your man, you are, etc. But here, the interpretation must obey the mi-dire policy. Le mi-dire, the half same. Concerning, and he gives two examples, the riddle and the quotation. The riddle corresponds to the enunciation, he says. The enunciation is how I say something. Is different from the announced. I have which is announced, the text, and I have the enunciation. The desire of the analyst is his enunciation. So Lacan points out that the direction of the cure is based on the not exactly